Okay. Okay, we're in the Rashash Sitter introduction on page Samach Aleph, and okay, here we are. We're on the right column on the word V'ha'inyan. Now, what's the question? The question is that we have, and this is very common in the Rashash, is that you have this combination of Havayah Ekya, or Ekya Havayah, one, and he calls one of Panimi, one of a Chitzoni, trying to understand a little bit more about the Inyan. And he says that we're starting with the word V'ha'inyan in the bold print on the right column on page Samach Aleph. So he says like this: if Inyan Yirtzada, you want, I could tell you this. Ki ha'emes hu she'aba nikra yira shuhu yira b'min keser. What is Abba afraid of? He's afraid of the keser shegubohu memenu. So in this sense, Abba is like a female aspect because it's getting shefa from something much more powerful. But on the other hand, she's called Abba. She's called love. She doesn't have the fear of her husband because that's her husband. But she has a tremendous love with him. So when we talk about making a yichud right away, we have to fill both of them. Because the first thing we do is we put the chilu, which is fear, before the rechima, which is love. So then we do it the other way. We make it that love becomes before fear. But let me explain this, because it's still not, the depth of this is still not seen. So that lashon, the yichud of the Kudsha Barich v'Shkinte, remains Zer Anpin v'Nukve. And how is it that you make this yichud? By putting Abba v'Ima together. And Bepirish, let me explain. When you make that connection, as Abba v'Ima, the first thing you have to do is you have to make a yichud in Abba v'Ima, because that's a preliminary to Zun. Okay, we understand that. So as a result of the yichud of Abba v'Ima, which I think I've been saying, he doesn't bring this in, but it takes Mayim Nukvin to start this process going. So here you have to bring Abba first, because he's the one that places the male aspect, that places the moch inside of Ima. V'ima nosnan l'zer anpin v'nukve. So Ima gives it to Zun. Neva gives to Zun. And after that, as we understand, there's going to be another yichud. So then it's going to be a love versus fear one yichud. But takdim Ima la'aba, Iba will come before Abba. Now the question is, why do you need both of these? Why just name the idea and you got the idea? Because over here with Abba v'Ima, well, let's see, Abba v'Ima, I don't know if I have something to say about that yet. V'hu besod a small l'tachas the roshi. Now this is the idea, is that things begin with the left hand. Is that the yichud begins from the left. Now this is the reason why Ima would come first. So he said, "V'hu besod small l'tachas the roshi ki hu sod hachibuk." This is the concept of the beginning of a yichud, I guess, where the left side ki hu sod hachibuk, of the hugging from that left side. Or the Ima b'smola there, the smol the zer anpin. The first thing you have to bring that shefa on the left line from Ima into zer anpin, kadesha yaskil l'chabek, so that he could begin to start hugging as nuk b'bechilas smol of the tachas roshi. Now that whole subject right there, it probably takes a lot more hesber. Then after that, you're going to go back and begin with Abba. The Hamshek Oro Shal Chayamim Chesed Azam. So what he's just said, putting those things together, is it says that the way that the yichud comes about is also by the left line. It's not just, let me say it like this. It's not just that Abba gives to Ima, but it is also that the shefa that comes from, am I saying this right? So he says, Tachas the Roshi, it's not just that Abba gives to Ima, but that Ima also is a starter in the sense that the hugging or the actual yichud that's going to take place is going to start on the left. The Hamshik Ora El Hayomim Chesed is their anpin in order to start the stream down that are going to go down the right line, which is going to be the right line. The Chesed is their anpin. The L'chaim is their anpin benuk v'yaminu l'tach pekenu, and this would fulfill the phrase of Zer Anpin in regards to his nuk, and where he says v'yaminu, his left hand tach pekeni, will hug me. Ad kan l'shonim. Vayin od sham shacharich of the virus zehu sod Rosh Hashanah. So in another place, we're going to see this is actually the secret of Rosh Hashanah v'Sukkos. V'haramaz zal sikom ha'inyan b'kitzer b'sifrach of archi hakinuyim. He says over there, v'zel l'shonah, this is what he says. He brings this idea. Yira v'ava nikroim abba v'ima. That's really that's a substitute name for them. V'zecha v'chuvesod v'yachta kutra b'richu b'shkinte b'dechidu b'dechinu, and that's the concept of bringing those two together. So on the one hand, you have Abba Wiz giving to Ima. On the other hand, the Shefa that's going to go into Zeranpin will start on the left side. I think that's what he's saying. It's going to start with Ima, then it's going to go to Abba. We find this quote here, Aka inyan she'ein v'chol yichud b'bitzius ela ba'ofen zeh. There is no yichud. The yichud can only go in this one way. Dechila b'dechilo. First it has to go b'dechilo, with fear, and then it goes with love. V'achakach b'dechila b'dechilo, and it has to go back the other way too, love and fear. So for inyan shagavar yodaticho, so the inyan is like this. I've already told you. He says shechachochman nikras yira. We're reading a quote here. I'm not going to go on to this even more deeply. What we want to do is make that yichud and zun, shehein teferes and malchus. So that would require the fear and the love in that order. Shehem Abba ve'ima. So it requires for them to make, what we're really trying to get to here is the yichud and zun. But in order to get to that, then you have to do it this way. That when you make a yichud with them, I'm not sure what he means, if he means that there's yichud that takes place with them. So he says, if you're going to put zun together, then you're going to also have to make Abba ve'ima together. And what do? They give strength. That's the energy, the source of energy for the mochi. Because he's the beginner, he's the place from which the flow comes. And from him, then it goes into Ima. And she then delivers it to the lower element, which is Zun. And after that, you will begin to make another yichud with love and with fear. So, in other words, starting with Ima. The takdim Ima la'aba. V'ha'inyan b'sod small tachas the roshi. So he said this before, he's repeating, so getting a better idea. And the inyan of that, where Ima comes first, is the idea of beginning this is the actual process. I think first, say like this, Abba gives to Ima, then Ima is going to start giving to the lower worlds, which is Zun. And Va'inya Besod, smaller the Tachas Roshi, and the beginning of that ball, getting the ball rolling, so to speak, is on the left line. That's the first thing, because that's the way the Yichud starts. Interesting, that it starts on the left side. So first of all, you have to put Abba ve'ima together, but then after that, the flow is going to start from the left side. which is into Zun. So first it goes on the left, and then it's going on to the right. So here he's picturing actually how it's going to go into Zer Anpin. It's going to go left-right. To get it to the position where it could go left-right, first it has to go from the right to the left. That's in the case of Abba Be'imas. It starts with Abba. But when it comes to Zun, there you're going to start to be, the flow is going to start from Ima. L'kaim v'yeminu tach b'keni, so that's why we go to Abba second. B'afal pi, and even though she'ana oimrim smol of the tachas roshes, and what does this mean? He says that even though we're saying that we start on the left, im kol zecha b'techidach techidach is oreres, when we call about the arousal for Yichud, that has to come from the right side. That's what he says. He says first it goes from Abba into Ima, but then Ima, when she's going to start delivering to Zun, is going to start on the left. He Chochma. So he said, which is Chochma. I'm going to skip this little part here. I'm not sure. I'll read it. Ivdu es Hashem b'yira, that we have a phrase like that, serve Hashem in yira. The whole process has to begin, I think that's what he's saying, so it goes with fear and then love. This is where you see the concept of year goes first. So he says, and I don't know if Gilo might probably mean Gilo, but Gilo means joy, but I think it also means here, and it's revealed in fear. Now, what does that mean? Gilo I got it wrong. Gilo represents Ima. Then it's going to be Gilo, but rather fear is Abba. Ki Pam Shnia, the second time, he says that that's in different words for the same idea. Let me see if I can get this better focused. The best I can do. The second reason, so since they come out and they're Abba and Iba are always together. Again, in his words, like they're always together. As Hashem b'yira, so therefore you have to have a certain amount of fear to serve God. V'lo b'yira leva, but not just with yira, chas v'shalom, ala v'gila b'rada, but also you're going to go to love and then you're going to have fear later. Shetzarek la'olam b'yachad chachma b'bina b'yachad, because you have to understand that they're always together. You can't say that the whole thing is to do with Abba because he starts it. Now, going on to the next page, we have this concept here. I'm gonna read just a little bit. It goes on. It doesn't. I don't see it. It's not so easy to see the period, and we'll start getting into what the depiction of the Rashash is. So he said, "B'Yehuda Shalim." So they're going to come. So first event, the language was b'Dechida v'Rechima. This is on page Samach. Urechimo udechilo. So he shows you the two sides. Then after that, it says Liyak Shem Yak Yud K with the letters Vav K. So in other words, that's a complete Yichud. I'm sorry, I went backwards for getting you mixed up. Rebbe, let me ask you something. How many more pages of this do you have? I don't know what I sent you. I forgot to think about it.
No, I ran out a while ago.
Oh, so you just
up to Nun Gimel.
You're kidding. Can I take a minute and send it to you now?
You can send it.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I really apologize for this. Okay, let me take a second. I lose track. I'm sure that you had this book at one time because I've worked it over a little bit. And I don't think I did it by myself. I could be wrong. Okay, here's one. Whoa, you're listening to all of this. And I really apologize for this. Okay, I'll send you these pictures now. Oh my goodness. Really do apologize for that. How do I do this? I go to photos. Photos. These are the ones I'm doing now. And you gotta let me know about that because I'm not thinking about it. I should. Okay, we're gonna send it here to Skype, and we're gonna send it to Yaakov Rinzelberg, and there. Okay, you should be getting these.
Yeah.
You got them? Okay, well, I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And let's go back to page Samach. Do you have Samach there? Did I give you Samach?
Okay.
You got it. Okay, so Samach. It is a depiction. Let me see. How did it start? Okay, it started by saying the phrase the Shem Yichud Kutri Barichu V'Shkinte, that was on the previous phase. Then on page Samas it said B'Dechida V'Rechimba V'Rechimba V'Dechilu, and then it shows us a depiction of what they actually look like in Shilov form.
Yeah.
So he said when you put those together, you get L'Yached Shem Yud K, and ultimately why we want to do this is be able to make an ultimate yichud so that Abba ve'Ima are going to flow into Vavke, which is Zun. So that's the Yachdei Shem Yud K Abba ve'Ima Bezun Yud Vavke. And how is this? Ayidei Shefa de Ein Sof HaMehashpia Bechem Amiyachdam, which is that Abba ve'Ima are able to deliver what's coming from Penimi to them, which is the light of the Ein Sof. Coming to page Samach Beis, reading along the top now, he says, B'Yehuda Shalim, and this is when you put Yud K and Vav K together, that is the Abba Ve'Ima making the Yichud, and then a Yichud that came to Vav K, and put the whole thing together. B'Shem called Yisrael in the name. I'm not sure what this phrase means. B'Shem called Yisrael, and we get a chance to look at it. So now we'll read just a little bit. He says, Hine Anochi Ba L'Kayim Mitzvahs Hadlakas Aner Chanukah. I'm coming over here to fulfill the mitzvah of the Ner Chanukah. This is part of the Siddur. This is Siddur. The Sakein as Sharsha B'Makom Elyo, to build, I guess, their root in an upper place. V'hi Ratzon V'Vanecha, and this is the rest of the prayer. Hashem Elokeinu V'Elokei Avosenu, Elokei HaTzvakos, that from the power, the energy that comes as a result of the lighting the candles, they will be for a great shining. 3 different Yechudim in Zun, Olun Kamizbar Ner. Now, before we get to that, let's look at the next page on page Samach Gimel. Page Samach Gimel has a depiction of this. And so he says that, what was the last line? Shlosha Yechudim, we're going to make 3 Yechudim here that represent the lighting of the candle. This is now going to flow the 3 different Yechudim of Havayah Ekya, Havayah Elokem, and Havayah Adni. Then he says, V'hoyu l'ma'oros, and then those are going to become oros, panemius, b'malchus shemayim shlosha shemos. So these are going to be the ma'oros, these oros, I'm not sure what he means by oros, they look like malchim to me. So he says one is av, sag, umah, then you're going to take that, and in ben imatztalo. So he has a little pasuk there, imatzta means to fortify yourself, and he shows you to ben. So the upper 3 are flowing into ben. The la'ayr, I get different translation to this word, golos, akoteres, the zer anpin, and to light up the very top, I think it means like that, the koteres means the crown of zer anpin. And he has av, and what does that go? How does that go? That goes with av and kasa. So those 2 are going to flow in further. There's more to be said. But let's go back and look at how he understands, how the Tiv understands this. And we'll go back to page Samach Bet. So the first phrase is, let me see where I can find it. But Yichud Shalim, I guess we could read down below. We'll get a little details here. With a complete Yichud. B'zeh misyachid oris yud k ba'osios vav k. I read it wrong. It's osios yud k ba'osios vav k. Shehu Abba ve'ima b'zer anpin is putting Abba ve'ima and making a yichud between them and zer anpin v'nuk. Na'asa yichud shall call shem havayah. You're causing a yichud to take place in the entire name of Havayah. That is, creating the name of Havayah hanikra yichud shalim, which is called the ultimate yichud. B'shem called Yisrael, and going on, the rest of the languages in the name of all Yisrael. What does that mean? He says, Kol Yehuda v'Rabbi Mitzvahs Na'asa b'Shem Kol Yisrael. All of them are made in the name of all of the Jews. That's the way I understand. I'm not sure what he means. In a complete and total oneness. So again, reading again, Kol Yehudim v'Rabbi Mitzvahs Na'asa b'Shem Kol Yisrael. And what's the purpose of that? To bring us into oneness. Now, this is such an interesting thing. Amongst the Jewish people, it's very difficult for us to achieve oneness. Very difficult. You see that in the middle of a war, they're prosecuting Netanyahu. So there's obviously a faction, if you look at just the politics, or the politics in our lives in general. This is very difficult for us to come to Yichud. But this is the intention of what we're saying now. We call mitzvah na'aseh b'shem kol Yisrael. So every mitzvah is made for everybody, for the Yichud. Shenichlalem kol Yisrael al yedei mitzvahs v'avad v're'echa kamocha, that mitzvah, and you should love your fellow as if he's you. Shemekab tefillah, that we're going to say this, and this is the idea, is that when we're doing a mitzvah, the idea is to create, he's saying, is to create this yichud that we're talking about of Kudsha Barich V'Shkinte, but also Abba Ve'ima and Kudsha Barich V'Shkinte, Ukum B'Tekilah Shar Levanos. So that's over there, what he says at the beginning. So he says, so he says, I'm coming to fulfill the mitzvah of the lighting of the candles of Chanukah, or the light of Chanukah, we'll say with Ner candle, the sakin as sharshim b'makom elyon, in order to fix up their roots in a higher place. Now, what does that mean? This is part of the same, you're making the same thing. So the same, we're in the same phrase. Because mitzvah she'oseh b'gavonish al yedei kiyama mitzvahs nis'ora l'mala b'cholamas alyonim. So that this is the concept, that when you're doing a mitzvah, it has a recognition. No, it arouses yichud up above. B'cholamas alyonim shesham ku shorosh mitzvahs is where you see actually the root of what the mitzvahs can accomplish. So actually you're doing it. We're in the Olam Asiyah, and that may be an answer to a question everybody's asking. Why does Hashem have to, the question, why does Hashem have to go to all of this trouble if he's completely imperfect to begin with? Why do we have to he had to create imperfection. And specifically, now we're talking about in the Jewish people, that we can't agree. We're all kings. And be able to bring, as a result of that yichud, and arousing what's up above, be able to bring that shefa all the way down to where we're at. So it will be for lights. There will be for lights. What is this we're talking about? This is also part of that same statement. Call it the Shana B'Lashem Yichud. All of the time we have this kind of different ways where we talk about the Yichud. Heim call meaning melitzos upasukim. There are different kinds of, I guess melitzos means translations or entreaties, perhaps. Lefei inyana v'seder hakavanos, and that's something you say in the order of the kavanos, v'hamshakachos, the partzufim hakadoshim, and the hamshacha that we're trying to get to in the upper partzufim, or holy partzufim, the partzufim kadoshim. So he says shloshi yechudim bezun ha'olna kamis berner. So we know that the three yechudim, and just flash for a second on page Samach Gimel, where he actually shows us the three yechudim. The Yechudim have a gematria of 250, which is the same gematria as Ner. candle. So the Shlosha Yehuda Bezuna Ola Misberner, and he shows us this the Yichud, the first Yichud of Yedus is Havayah Akia, and he said Bekeser, Havayah Elokim B'Chabad. How are we doing? On page Samach Gimel? Okay. I'm getting you Samach Gimel.
Yeah.
You got it? I don't know what I'm doing here. I got the wrong group here. Yeah, here they are. I only sent you 4 pages. That's what it looks like. You have Samach Gimel? Okay. So anyway, you have the you have the Shilov there. So it's Bekesser. So in Bekesser is going to be Havayah Akia. B'Chabad. So B'Chabad. So I got this wrong. So again, Bekesser is going to be Havayah Akia, and the Havayah Elokim is going to be in the Chabad, and the Havayah Adni is going to be in the Zat. So what we're doing is bringing Rosh Toch Sof. We're bringing the complete Rosh, and we're going to bring bring all of the 3 elements of the column in. Hakavana b'chadlokas ner Chanukah the Yached es Zun b'shlosha mini Yehudim. The idea of lighting the candle is to bring in these letters that we're talking about here, mini Yehudim. Bekeser shalachem, and it comes into the kesher of a mochin, and the mochin, which is the Chabad, and the Vizat Shalahem. HaYichud B'Keser Shalahem, so the Yichud that takes place in their Keser, Shuchu HaNikra Sharsha HaMochin, which is called the roots of the Mochin, Nikra HaVavaya V'Ekya, it's called Havaya V'Ekya. HaYichud B'Mochin Shalahem is called Shuhu HaDechabad, Nikra HaVavaya V'Elokem. HaYichud B'Zat Shalahem, Nikra HaVavaya Adni. Now we go to number Yud Aleph. If you look back up at the drawing, number Yud Aleph up above says, V'hoya l'ma'oros, and they shall be for lights or lamps, b'malchus shemayim shlosha shemos. So let's exactly, and he shows the shemos. Now what does he mean? He says that they will be for lights. The lights themselves are these mochim. So asam. So let's see what we say on number Yud Aleph in the light print. It says, the kavana that you have when you're going to go to light the menorah. Sha'al yedei ha'adlaka nimshachin shemos asam absag ma min hazer anpen el hanuk. This is what you're thinking about now. Is that now that you've created what you did, you made the yichud of Abba ve'ima b'dechilo rechima b'dechilo. Then you have the idea of lighting the candles, which is going to be these three shaluvim, on Keser, Chabad, and Zer Anpin and Zat, and then you're going to come to Zer Anpin and the Nuk together. That yichud. That yichud requires these 3 names. These are names of the Mochin, the Av, Sag, Uma. So he says this is what's coming in. He says lahadlik. Hadlik has a gematria of 179, the way I count it, lahadlik. She'im hakolol, and you add the kolol onto it, olav misbar, which is 180, asam, of the adsag umah. So in other words, that you're bringing this in by lighting by the lahadlik, you're bringing in the mochin. Sha'yidech hadloka mamshichim shemus asam el hanok. Now we go to the next. Are we out of time? We're out of time. Okay. Well, wrong mouse.